Hey, there he is. What is up? Boom, giving you the Nux, brother.
What's
Nux
up,
right
Travis?
at you.
So excited
How,
to have a conversation today.
I know we still haven't figured out whether you and I have done a live together or not. Like in spirit, I clearly have, right? Because I have Collin Henderson in my head and spirit all the time. So in my head we have, but in reality, I don't know if we have. So whether we have or haven't, boom, here we go, brother. How you feeling today?
Yeah, I'm doing good. And every time we're in the same environment, talking about different stuff, mindset, I'm always picking your brain, always learning from you, always having fun with you, and using a lot of the great principles that you teach.
Oh, well, likewise, likewise. That's high praise, and it's right back at you. So, all right, man. Quick gratitude. What are you gratitude for? Grateful for this afternoon, this morning, Colin. What's up?
I'm grateful for ice white mochas, half sweet, extra ice, light whipped cream, and it's very close to our house. So dropped off our youngest at preschool. It's literally 1 minute away. So just the ease of use and seeing dropping off our youngest, her first time going to preschool. So I'm
Awesome.
grateful for preschool and I'm grateful for ice white mochas.
How cool is that? Big day, right? Big first day of preschool. I love that.
How
It's a big
about you?
step. That's a big step. Well, clearly, right? I mean, it's a given. I got two things I'm grateful for, right? My iced coffee, right? Iced coffee that I'm rocking. And Colin, I'm grateful for our rock star producer, Mari, who so patiently tried to sneak in as you and I were talking. Hey guys, kind of like, hey, we probably need to get started now. And she didn't want to sound rude. But Mari, just so you know, you can cut us off anytime because Colin and I, we will just keep talking and talking and talking. So
I
I'm
know
grateful for Mari. She's behind the scenes and she's a rock
Mari's
star.
the
And
best, and she has a lot of skills, not just producing. She has
oh my
graphic
gosh,
design skills, creative skills. Uh, so kind, so warm, and we're so grateful, Mari, that you're on our team.
absolutely. And a quick shout out to the crew jumping in the chat. Our boy Matt Miller, room tilter Matt Miller. What's up, Matt? Justin Hirsch, always sending love. Thank you, Justin. He's telling you don't need the whipped cream, Colin. And of course, Mari. Yes, thanks for the hearts, Mari. We appreciate you. We appreciate you. Colin, hey, I got to give you props. You came up with the sort of our focus area for today, which it is Thriving Thursday, but specifically going to talk about today in regards to Thriving Thursday?
Yeah, I love Thriving Thursday. Are you surviving? Are you thriving? Are you grinding? Are you grooving? Energy flows where focus goes. So creating systems where we are optimizing. And one of the systems I think to optimize and to thrive is to create an environment that is conducive to thrive.
Yeah.
So with the truth of you don't need to be sick to get better, we have the power of free will. Do you let your environment dictate your mindset, or does your mindset influence your environment to create the space, the focus to give yourself the best chance, not only have high performance, but to encourage wellness as well? So I just think not enough of coaches in the space are talking about how to organize, how to properly influence, how to structure the environment that influences your thoughts, your words, your actions, your feelings. So that's why, hey, let's talk about environment. I don't think we've covered this yet. We are on a new topic today. I think we've been doing lives for a long
Pioneers.
time. I think this is a new topic.
We are Limitless Live pioneers today. And I love it. So we got talking beforehand, like, well, what do we mean by environment is everything? Are we talking about someone's individual environment? Are we talking about the collective environment? And the answer is yeah, talking about both.
Mm,
So Colin, for you as a performance coach, who's an amazing performance coach, I know how you work with people, and when you think about working with the individual, helping that individual sort of get over obstacles, thrive. You were referencing James Clear a little bit when he's talking about kind of environment and creating that optimal environment for motivation. Can you share that?
mm. Yeah. So when you look at adopting a new behavior, and I'm guessing when you're working with a performance coach, you look at yourself in your marriage relationship, your work, your craft, like, how do I improve? Well, it comes down to behaviors. Behaviors precede success. And mindset is a conditioned set of beliefs that drive behaviors.
Hmm.
So those two dials of beliefs and behaviors, what's going to influence that is having an environment. So James Clear has identified kind of these three rings to influence adopting a new behavior. The first one is very elementary. It's simple, is to pinpoint, success leaves clues, pinpoint the habit or the behavior you want to adopt. Get clear on what it is, whether it's I want to floss my teeth once a day, or
Mhm.
I want to exercise more, or I want
Yeah.
to learn a new language, or I want to have more empathy. You have to pinpoint what specifically the behavior you want. But what's interesting is the next level is you have to create an environment that is conducive to implement that new behavior. So the environment, he says, is so important because just by knowing the behavior is not enough.
Yeah.
It's not enough because what is the phrase? The the flesh is willing, but the spirit is weak. Something like that. Like we
Yeah.
have this idea of, or it's the opposite. I'm not sure.
Well,
But
I
then the
know what
third
I know
one
what I
is
want. Yeah.
yeah.
I know what I want to do in my head, but my body's not following, right? So how do
Yeah,
I get
so to help us do that behavior is to create an environment, and we can give examples. But the third one is to change your identity. That's the most powerful way to change a behavior. But
what's that
environment is
mean?
in there.
Yeah, and
What does that mean? So
change your identity. Yeah, tell me about that.
yeah, well, you may have heard someone say, "I always forget names. I have a sweet tooth. I'm not a morning person."
Mhm.
So part of changing these behaviors is pinpoint the behavior, create an environment, but say, "Actually, I'm someone who's this one. I do floss my teeth every day. I'm a flosser."
Yeah.
Or I'm a person,
Yeah.
I have empathy, or I'm working on my empathy. So you're labeling yourself a way that you focus on who you are, who you want to be, not who you aren't. Thoughts become things, like attracts like. What you focus on expands. So by using language to shape your self-image, create an environment that influences right behaviors, and then locking in by design, not by default, the habit you want to do. But really, we're going to talk about today the environment of that whole puzzle. So
Yeah.
you shared some good stories, Travis, about like how environment influences our thoughts and our actions.
Yeah, it's interesting. I remember going back about 14 years ago. I was the assistant coach at my alma mater, Principia College. I went back for a season. The head coach was a good friend of mine. He and I played together, and I didn't even know this happened. At the time, I was reading Malcolm Gladwell's Blink. If you guys haven't read that, it's really all about sort of the power of the unconscious, especially when it comes to the environment, right? There's some great studies in there that you and I were talking about offline. So I'm talking to my friend who I don't even think he was 40 yet. And we're having a conversation. He goes, do you know that I almost died last year? I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, the day before Christmas break, I collapsed in the office with a severe stroke. They rushed me to the hospital. I wasn't supposed to live through the night. I survived the night, and then I kind of survived the next few days. And I'm like, dude, I had no idea. He goes, not many people did, because it happened right before holiday break, and at the school they broke before Thanksgiving. They came back at the beginning of January. In the time from his stroke right before Thanksgiving to coming back in January, by the time the students came back, he was already back in the office, and people wouldn't have known that he'd ever had a stroke. He almost died. And I said, well, dude, what in the heck happened? He said, so Collin, while he was at the hospital, right, while he was at the original hospital, he couldn't speak. He'd lost all communication skills. All he could feel was the energy of the people around him. And sadly, the energy in this particular hospital was so negative. And he kept throwing fits, right? Because they didn't know why, because the hospital, there was such a negativity in the hospital. Well, after he survived the scary parts of, okay, he's going to live, but he's going to have severe brain damage. He's never going to walk again. He's never going to do all these things. They got him transferred to a different university hospital in St. Louis. Less than 3 weeks later, he was home. He was walking, full mental capabilities. By January 1st, he was back in the office. And I was like, what happened? He said, once I got transferred to the new hospital, he said, the attitude and the energy of the doctors, the nurses, of everybody, it was all about you are going to recover. You're doing great. Everything was about, you are going to progress. You're going to be fine. And he said, not only that, Collin, the physical space in the first hospital, it was old, it was dreary, it was gray walls. The new space, it was bright, it was colorful, it was vibrant. And it was this outward expression of the people in that space. So which influenced which? Did the people influence the physical environment, or did the physical environment influence the space, or vice versa? And so interesting at the time, For someone who was unable to communicate because he lost all of his communication skills, all he could do was feel. And it was what he could feel, the difference in those two physical spaces had a tremendous impact on his recovery. He went back to the original hospital to thank everyone for saving his life. And he said they all about passed out because they looked at him and they're like, how are you walking right now? How are you here? And that I just always remember that example of, wow, the physical space we create for ourselves, as well as the emotional space we create for the people inside of our team, our family, our company, our environment, has a tremendous influence on performance.
That's true. And I
Crazy.
quoted a very similar study. Well, thank goodness that he got into a new environment that influences his healing.
Yeah.
And I go back to this is culture, leadership, teamwork. Attitudes are contagious. Like attracts like. So we can experience people's energy, their words, their actions. So I actually wrote down, I think, 4 factors that influence your environment. If y'all are taking notes, we're in the Mind Gym, Thriving
Here we
Thursdays on
go.
Limitless Lab. We don't just think it, we ink it.
Pens out. Let's
So
go.
the first thing I want us to be aware of is what are you consuming? That creates an environment, because this conditioning is shaped by what we see, hear, and experience. So what are you consuming, listening to, seeing that's infiltrating your thoughts, your feelings, which flow into your behaviors? So consuming, number one, is it negative news? Is it sad music? Is it you have people in your life that are just like focused on problems? Or we have to be aware of what are we consuming throughout the
Yeah.
day. I think Trevor used to give some quote, don't know where he got it, some stat. When you watch news in the morning, like 28% people said they had a bad day,
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
like that. So, okay. So the first one is consuming. The second one is proximity.
Mm.
Proximity. Close, far away, objects. What's in your physical realm that's influencing your thoughts and your actions? So I think of things that could help or hurt, or how easy it is to get in or out, or to get started, or distance. So
Yeah.
proximity.
Yeah. Yeah.
The third one would be, this is what I think I love to talk about, is the power of language.
Mm-hmm.
Based off of what you're consuming and based off proximity of what's around you, you start to formulate words, pictures, thoughts that you verbalize, which is creating a frequency around you, feelings. And then the last one would be experiences. So, I would say people and actions. So I'll say the 4 again: what we're consuming, proximity, language, what we're thinking and verbalizing, and then experiencing, what actions are we doing in those around us. So it's setting, boundary setting, or
Yeah.
it's carving out, being around certain people. If I need a boost of energy, I text Henna Pryor, I need you. Where's my hype squad? If I need some inspiration on improv and positivity, I call Travis,
It's a
So,
very
and you quite,
it's a
yeah.
very small box that I occupy, Collin.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on those 4?
Well, I love, right? You talk about consuming, and the first thing I think about is Trevor in the book It Takes What It Takes, right? And Trevor would share this all the time, but he sadly, we're like, Trevor, why'd you do this to yourself? He used his own life when he was going through a really, really difficult challenge. He used himself as a guinea pig. What if I, consume all these news? What if I allow myself to consume news and consume all this sad music? What impact might it have on me? And it was crazy how it impacted his health negatively, how it impacted his emotions negatively. And that's all about what we are choosing to consume. Obviously, some things we can't choose, right? But we have so much power, Collin, over what we choose to consume, what I choose to put in my body, and what I choose to take in. The music I'm listening to, the podcasts I'm listening to, the TV shows I'm watching, it's everything. It's garbage in, garbage out, or good in, good out, right? It's got to go somewhere. If we take it in, it's got to go somewhere, and obviously that's going to have a huge impact on us.
Yeah, I can give 2 examples, one from research, one from my personal life. The first one from research I shared offline. Harvard did a fascinating study where they took people who are advanced in age, 70s, 80s, and they created an environment where it was like a time machine. It was 30 years back in their history. So hypothetically, it's the 80s, we're going back to the 50s. So the house, the cottage, the place they were staying had furniture from the 50s, music from the 50s, the television shows, movies from the 50s, the artwork, the activities, everything was like a time machine. They were how they dressed, the clothes they could wear were styled from that time of the 50s. And they did a health assessment pre and post. And what they found was astonishing and fascinating. All the health markers that they were looking for improved, including even posture, where they had arthritis, heart measurements, all these like cholesterol, all these things.
Yeah.
They were
Yeah.
in a time machine, mentally, emotionally, and their body followed. Energy flows where focus goes. And even they said these older gentlemen in their 80s were playing touch football. They hadn't had that much physical activity in decades. Fascinating. So that was the the evidence one. Do you want to chime in before I give
I mean,
another example?
it's like, I mean, that story, Colin, is amazing, right? We live in such a science-based world, right? What is the science behind that, right? Think about, like, we live in such a science-based world. That is a study that is all about the power of environment, the power of the visual environment that the mental space that it takes you, right? My father is that guy in that study that you're talking about, right? My father's going through some health things right now. My dad has always driven a Corvette. He does not want, he just told me this the other day, Travis, I'm not getting rid of the Corvette because my motivation is to be able to get back into the Corvette and drive again. Right. And so
Mm,
he has this motivation that get rid of the Corvette and you get rid of his motivation. And
mhm,
trust me, I believe it. And so I think, you know, this is real. Like, this is real, tangible stuff. And
mhm.
before
Yep.
before I move on, Colin, I just want to say to Henna Pryor out there, when you try your best and you don't succeed, I could listen. Actually, Hannah, that's not depressing to me. I could listen to Coldplay on repeat all day, and it puts me in a great mood. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Trevor was talking about, man, Sam Hunt. I gotta stop listening to Sam Hunt because a lot of his songs were kind of written for sad stuff. So I think we kind of covered three of the four of what we're consuming, what we're verbalizing, what we're experiencing. But I want to talk about proximity here
Yeah. Yeah.
on environment. Proximity. What's in your environment? If you want less screen time on your smartphone, delete your social media apps.
Yep.
If you want to, eat healthier, stop having unhealthy foods in your kitchen right out in front of you. So one of the things I help any performer who wants to adopt a new habit is make the environment conducive to make it easy to get started.
Hmm.
It's the start that stops most people because we don't always feel motivated to get started. So here's a simple example. When we moved a few years ago to a new neighborhood, a new area of town. One of my best friends lived down the street. He's like, Colin, I have this gym. It's 12 minutes away, but it's only $10 a month. I was like, well, Tyler, there's a gym literally across the street. Like, I literally can walk across the street. Yeah, but it's like 50 some dollars. This is cheaper. And it's
Yeah.
only 12 minutes. So I was like, okay, so I signed up. But when you think about it, when I did it a few times, I was like, that's like 25 minutes to and from. It's almost nearly a half hour. We got little kids and I'm working. So I
Yeah.
literally only went 4 times that year to that gym. And I said, well, I'm just going to change this up. I know it's more, but like, let's just do like a month trial with this gym. I was going 4 times a week because it was so easy to get to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Proximity.
so creating proximity, and another simple example that just came to my mind was the book, The Happiness Advantage by Dr. Sean Acor. And he's talking about the happiness habits and again, making things easier in your environment to access. When he was learning how to play the guitar, he had this like detailed plan of the times he's going to practice, how long, the different chords he's going to practice. He had this map plan on his, I guess, wall somewhere. But he said, well, but my guitar was on the third level of the closet,
Yeah.
and I never played it. 3 months about, I never played it. He said, I made one simple shift. I took the guitar off the closet, put it right next to my favorite chair, open, ready to go. He said, I practice every day because it was right, the proximity was right next to my favorite chair. So there you have it. Make it easier to get started.
Hey, shout out to Duolingo, right, Colin? I've got a 38-day streak right now as I try to relearn Spanish or probably learn it for the first time, right? I get I'm on my phone, right? It pops up. I'm like, oh shoot, I got to do my Duolingo, right? So proximity, accessibility. You and I were talking, and again, thinking about sort of like teachers in classrooms, right? Coaches in locker rooms, and the physical space, and any leader out there who you're a part of a team or you're leading a team, maybe in a corporate space, and how important the greater sort of environmental space is, Collin, to performance and to motivation. With the national team for the last 3 years, every time we set up camp or every time we're in a new city, we're always doing a ton of prep work on the front end to think about what is the physical space going to be like in the hotel where we're going to be. And then we're very intentional about the flow, the flow of traffic for the players from the meal room to all the different rooms. And we're very strategic of, we want to have it set up to optimize interaction, to optimize convenience, but we want to have people running into one another because we want to build that connection. And so, you go to the World Cup, in Qatar last November, we actually were able to stay in one hotel the entire time. And so for months, we planned on, okay, these guys are going to have to be in the same hotel for a month plus. So we created an entire space within this hotel, right? Customized an entire space because we wanted them to be in a space in Qatar that felt like home, right? That felt like that they, were home in America. It was like during Thanksgiving and into the holidays. We wanted them to have that home because we knew the emotional and the mental impact that has on their performance. And so for each of us, just like we decorate our home to have an emotional sort of impact on us, our workspaces and our corporate spaces and our classrooms and our locker rooms, are we giving that enough thought to think about how that influences performance and how that influences someone's emotional care?
I agree. And that if you could encapsulate what we're talking about, environment is everything.
Yeah.
And what's really cool about environment is a lot of part of our environment we can't control, but a lot of it we actually can control.
Yeah.
Things that we're using, listening to, formulating, you may have heard of the term feng shui. I don't know, but like just what makes you feel good. I think mood matters. And sometimes you're not going to always feel great, but just influence what you have control over and think about what environment do I need to optimize myself to see the right things, to hear the right things, to do the right behaviors, create environments that is going to help me, not hurt me, be the best I can be. And I think people would be the X factor for environment. That's just what I think.
Yeah.
People would be the X factor.
Well, and so for Collin, for you, you got a few kiddos running around the house. What are some things that you try to do environmentally that you're trying to craft that experience, for your kids? Whether that's habit behavior, whether that's turning the volume down on distractions or turning the volume up on the things that are good for them.
Well, some simple family rules. If you open it, you close it. If you drop it, you pick it up.
Yeah.
If you eat it, you put it in the dishwasher.
Yeah.
You can't watch TV unless you read something first. When you wake up, you make your bed. When you're playing with something, when you're done with that PlayStation or that area, you put it away. Just simple family rules that we have control over, and taking pride in your environment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Taking pride, doing the small things. How you do one thing is how you do everything. But unless as a family or as a team unit, you talk about, okay, what's important to us? What are our standards? What's going to make, because what you do has impact on others. And I kind of learned this when I was in college. I learned this in college. When you have roommates, when you're 19 years old, it's crazy. It's the Wild West because you were with the mom, or adults, and when I was in a dorm at my freshman, then you have your own apartment. We had a rule. We had a rule in our apartment, and we had really one rule: is leave no trace.
Yeah.
Leave no trace means whether you're in the bathroom, or in the kitchen, or in a common living area. When you're done with that spot, no one should know that you were there. So we have a comment here. I see we got about 4 minutes.
Shout out to Dana. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. So if I try to unpack proximity for myself in the current moment and with the feelings I have, I would pitch it as who you are around sets the course of your life's meaning. What they've got you thinking, saying, doing, and becoming. That's my third takeaway. Woo! That is true. So bringing it full circle to James Clear,
Yeah.
one of the most powerful ways to change a behavior is to be around other people where the desired behavior is normal.
Say that again.
Okay, so one of the most powerful ways to adopt a new behavior is to be around other people where the
Yeah.
desired behavior is normal. You become who you hang out with. So that
Yeah.
would be that's a good take. So I talk for a while. I'm gonna shut up for the Travis. You want to take us home here?
Well, I want to recognize the love here in the chat, right? Henna chiming in. I know we're doing a bit of addition by subtraction, but another fun fact: did you know adding personal touches to your workspace can create a sense of ownership and comfort, and ultimately improve mental performance? So also in when Steve Jobs redesigned, I think it was the Pixar building, when they built the new Pixar building, he realized right away that they made a major mistake. They put bathrooms on all the floors, and there was no longer the cross interaction between people. Everyone ended up siloing off into their own departments and never running in, having those happy accidental interactions. So when they rebuilt the next space, it was common bathrooms in one spot next to the cafe, which meant people were constantly running into one another. Hey, Collin, hey, man, how are things going on that project that you're working on? Oh, and the collaboration and the connection went through the roof. Again, physical space, physical environment has this huge impact on how we operate, on how we collaborate, and on how we perform. Thank you, Harry. Appreciate that today. Legend recognizing legend there.
Harry's the ultimate legend. But I would just in my like final take, I'll give you the last take though, double T. But my final take is this is something in our control. There's some environmental factors that we have no control over, but a lot of that we actually do. So look at what do I need to remove? What are some? So Hannah calls it fuel versus friction. Instead of more fuel, let's remove friction. Let's remove barriers to entry. Let's remove things that distract, that pull us away. Let's create an environment that is conducive to optimize, where it's easy to get started and it's easy to stay downhill, grinding versus grooving. Let's groove. So create an environment that supports all these things with what we're consuming, proximity, language, and what we're experiencing. And it helps having someone to kind of talk this through. You know, nobody should worry or win alone. So Travis, if you need that help, I'm your guy.
I know you are, brother. And also, hey, let's end it on that note. So for those of you watching, hey, go to our socials, whether it's here on LinkedIn or elsewhere. And here's your assignment: one friction and one fuel. What's one fuel that you're going to lean into today to get you moving in the right direction? And what's one friction that you're going to remove? Let us know on the socials. We'd love to hear from you. You guys, thank you so much for coming. Collin, you're the man, brother. I love you.
Love you too, man. Hey, the body has limits, but the mind's limitless. Peace.
Peace.